Good evening and salutations, my YNR fans. This was an actual good episode. I'm still shocked. I am still shocked this was an actual good episode. Um, and I don't remember the last time I actually said that about YNR, so that's something. But I want to start off with Nate and Devon. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I'm on Devon's side. Nate, it's like as you're watching those two argue, because let's be honest, that wasn't even a talk; it was an argument. As you were sitting there watching those two argue, you can feel the frustration in Devon's voice. Because one of the many things he was upset about was the fact that Nate went over Devon's head to talk to Lily about ideas. And he was like, why would you do that? And he's like, oh, well, because, she's a better CEO than you. And he was like, all right, well, what makes her a better CEO than me? And he's like, well, she took my ideas, and she said that she would consider it. And he was like, okay, well, consider doesn't mean that it's an actual go, right? Basically, what it comes down to is Nate is making all these decisions without getting approval from him, and he had to put in plain terms. You work for me. That's you know what I'm saying. Like, he's not respecting the chain of command is what it really comes down to. He's just doing his own thing, and I guess because he did that one thing, I guess at a party or whatever, and it worked out, that he's just on this streak of I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. And of course, Nate is like, oh, you're being stubborn, and you're not listening to my ideas, and yada yada yada, and you're constantly sitting there fighting back, and he's like, at the end of the day, yeah, you can sit there and you can come to him with ideas, but he does have a right to sit there and turn them down. If he doesn't sit there and think it's a good idea, it's a good approach, he's not going to sit there and just okay it just because you think that you have a good idea. So it's like Nate is just not grasping that concept. And I do understand where Devon is coming from, because Nate has been used to just not getting approval from other people. He's been the guy that they need approval from him. And he's just not taking it well. And it's frustrating as hell. And Devon is just like, if we were working in a family, if you were working in a family, would you sit there and still be doing this? Would you be, having this attitude, having this energy? So the conversation went nowhere. And pretty much Devon was like, yo, listen, you need to sit there and check yourself um, before we sit there and have another conversation. Because I feel like the next conversation is going to be the conversation that tells him to kick rocks at this point. Now, I watched a little bit yesterday of Nate coming to Lily, about this tension, this concern, or whatever that he's been having. And so, for the most part, she just sat there and listened. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't finish watching the rest of the episode, so I didn't know how that conversation ended, because I'm going to be honest, yesterday's episode, I was just not a fan of it. But towards the end of the episode, you see Nate just there, just drinking by himself. And I'm like, Nate, you've just been making the wrong moves lately. First with Devon, and also with Elena, and you're acting like what Amani's doing isn't a big deal, and you're dismissing Elena's feelings, on that whole thing. So I'm just like, bro, listen, at the end, I feel like at the end of this month, you're going to lose that job, and you're going to lose that girl. This is all going to be your fault. Now, going off of that chain of friction, of tension, whatever you want to sit there and call it, let's talk about Billy and Lily. So Billy gets into the office and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know I'm a little bit late." And Lily's like, "No, you're like you're way past late. The meeting that we're supposed to have is done. So like we had to sit there and cancel." So she's pissed off. And he was like, "Yeah, I was running late, the podcast and everything like that." And she was so not happy. Um, I don't know how many times this happened, but one of her fears, one of the things that she was worried about was the podcast becoming more of a priority than, the business. Like, no, it's fine. It was just one time. Now, my whole thing is like, if it was just one time, then I can understand that he messed up and he made a mistake. And in that sense, although she does have a right to be upset and be angry, she might be blowing this out of proportion. You know. But, she wasn't there saying that, Billy will always sit there and try to make her listen to these podcasts to get her ideas on it and things of that nature. And the way that he talks about the podcast is with such energy and such enthusiasm, as opposed to the way he talks about, Chancellor Winters. Basically, Smith is saying that it's just boring. Um, which I wasn't a fan of. I wasn't a fan of the fact that she was trying to put words in his mouth. That's just something that I do not like in any conversation, argument, whatever you want to, I just don't like that. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't sit there and tell me what you think that I'm saying. Listen to what I'm actually saying. And don't sit there and start inferring. Mm. And basically, he was meant to saying, like, this is like one time or whatever. Like, you might want to, and she's also meant to talk about, oh, you might want to sit there and try to think about what you want if you want to sit there and be a part of this job or a part of, you know, the podcast or whatever. Like, basically, Smith is saying, like, do you want to quit? Because that was his intention. That was his, um, that's what he took from it. And she was like, no, that's not what I meant. But it's interesting that you bring that up. And it was just like, it was one of those things where I felt like he was trying to dig himself out of this argument. And anything that he said, it's like it just irritated her and made her push more. So at some point, you know, they kind of calmed down a little bit. And he talks about, oh, listen, I'm sorry, whatever, I just missed you. And, you've been just doing meetings nonstop and I didn't really get a chance to see you. And, give you your present in person. So he gives her um the present. And she's not there like, oh, you can help me put it on. Because she thought it was a necklace. Nice, pretty necklace. He gave her some earbuds. And whew, the look, the look on her face, just pure disappointment. All right there. Just all of it. And even her tone, she was like, oh, earbuds. He was like, yeah, you always seem like you've been dropping them and losing them and stuff like that. So I figured, get some earbuds. Earbuds. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I'm personally not a fan of earbuds. I'm just really not. Anything that got to be like digging in your ear, I'm just not really. No. Um, but, after that, she put him back in the charge or whatever, and she was like, "Yeah, but you need to really sit there and think about what you want in your future and everything." And it was just like right back to where we started, and it sucks that later on he wound up leaving, he wanted to go into the bar and stuff like that. I guess it just kind of sucks that they couldn't find a way to be like, all right, listen, let's just table this conversation for another day or whatever, and kind of just like, I don't like leaving someone, on bad energy. And that's pretty much what he did. But he wound up going to the bar, he wound up meeting up with Victoria. Now, Victoria was with Chelsea, and more attention today. Chelsea wanted, um, I guess their sons or whatever to like meet, you know. Wanted his sons to meet, play, to get to know each other and everything like that. And Victoria wasn't about that. Okay, Victoria was not happy about that, and it's something has it has something to do with an agreement that they made a long time ago. And you know, Chelsea did the whole, listen to my experience, the whole thing at the Ray and yada yada yada, which I'm not a fan of. The whole, well, life is short and yada yada yada. And it's like I get that, but that's not what that's about. What it really comes down to, Victoria was like, listen, I'm gonna sit there and tell him at some point. It's like, well, when is some point? The kid is getting older. I understood where Chelsea was coming from, and the fact that Billy and Victoria had this, not even just this adverse reaction to it, but this, oh, we'll table it for another time. No, 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 no. We're not tabling it for another time. This is ridiculous at this point, you know. And hell, they both realized towards the end when they wound up getting together. Because first of all, Victoria, well, she just sit there and say that she would think about it. She would consider it. Consider it, okay. Um, when they wound up getting together, Victoria was not happy with Billy. It's like, oh, a little heads up would have been nice. I'm, I'm sorry. What? Yo, this chick sat there and I'm like, how much of a heads up do you need? And besides that, you're busy with, I don't know, everything else. Like, I want to kind of bring it down a notch and have a drink or something. Chill. Um, but yeah, they talk about the whole Connor and Johnny thing. And, they both kind of realize, like, something that Billy says, like, yeah, you know what? At the same time, the longer you put this off, the harder it's going to be. And the worse his reaction is probably going to be also for not finding out the truth. Because apparently he doesn't know that Chelsea um, is his mother. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's better to do it soon, like real soon, like probably right after the Ashland stuff, after the investigation, than not to do it at all. But I have a feeling like that whole conversation is going to be tabled because, this investigation is going to take a lot longer than I think they both initially think it's going to be. Um, Abby was kind of annoying me today. Abby was kind of annoying me today. I'm going to be completely honest. The way that she came at Chance a couple of times, it's like, lady, what is it that you want? I mean, here's the thing. She was talking about the investigation. And she was, like, oh, what else did she say? She made it seem like she wanted him to drop the investigation, to just kill it, just to kind of be done with it. Because she kept saying the longer that this investigation is going to go on, the worse it's going to sit there and hurt her family. And then she got to a point where she was like, because he was like, I can't just sit there and stop and turn a blind eye, and just because it's inconvenience, it's inconveniencing for a lot of people. I can't do that. I took an oath. I took an oath to the job. She's like, well, what about your oath to your family? So, and then he got upset. And he was like, so what? You want me to sit there and turn a blind eye? You want me to sit there and just kind of close the case or whatever because you're my family and the Newman's like now my family or whatever, like. Basically Smith is saying he wanted, you want me to compromise myself. And she's like, no, that's not what I want. Well, then what the hell do you want? I'm going to be honest. Like, having a conversation with her just seems like it could just be the most infuriating thing. One of the most infuriating things on this planet. Because she doesn't outright say things. She suggests things that you both know what it is. But then she'll be like, no, that's not what I mean. And then she talks about how he's working too much and, oh, you missed a moment in Dom's not, Dom, you're missing some moments in Dom's life, like him, saying his first words and stuff like that because you weren't there. And it's like, because he's working. He's a cop. And you're working too. You may wind up missing some important things too. So where are you going with this? Like, seriously, just watching that whole thing, I'm like, I feel I feel, I feel so bad for Chance. I really do. And I was about to call him Chase for a minute. I feel so bad for Chance. After that whole mess is over because Victoria comes in and she's like, because they set up a meeting before Chelsea came in. So when she got there, Abby was like, "Oh no, we're still in the middle of something." The hell we're not, because we're not going anywhere with this conversation. So she was up leaving to go pick up Dom from Devon. I'm gonna mess up his name a couple of times. I don't know why I call him Davon and then Devon. It's pronounced. I pronounced them differently, but it's the same word anyway. Um, Talked to Victoria, and Victoria's like, "Oh, I didn't want you to sit there and think that I was trying to tell Abby to, drop the case or put family first, and I'm sorry if that's the way it came across as." And I'm gonna be honest, that another conversation that just went nowhere. But when Kevin came in, Kevin was like, "I got good news and I got bad news." I'm like, looking at this man's face. You might want to just start off with the bad news first, and then kind of ease into the good news. Um, he was like, the bad news is that one of the security guards with the cigarette or whatever wound up leaving town, like probably even state lines, which made sense because at this point he's already pissed off at him. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be surprised if that dude's not dead. Of course, they already got one dead body on their hands. I don't know if another dead body would actually be a good look, but I guess time will tell. I don't think it was just one person. I think he said it was multiple of them. But then Kevin was like, "Well, the good news is that we got a partial print, and it's the only print that's in the car. Even though it's a rental car, it's the only print that's in the car. Everything else was wiped down. So it makes you sit there and wonder, you just left that one partial print there, like you didn't know. Like he really just didn't sit there and think about that, like he slept up." So Kevin's like, "All right, what do you want to do? Do you want to sit there and try to track down these people that, probably cross state lines? Or do you think that we have enough to sit there and give to the DA?" And I'm like, you really don't. I mean, okay, cool, you got the DNA, you got a partial print, but you don't have anything to match it to because the people are gone. So what do you exactly have to give to the DA? I'm like, did I miss something? Because I'm not a cop, but I'm just assuming that you go to DA with that, they're gonna sit there and look at you like, you scheduled this appointment to for this? Are you nuts? I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, but plot and plot. So I guess we'll see. So Abby wound up coming to Devon to sit there and get Dominic. They got talking for a little bit, talking about their stresses and family, working and stuff like that. And Devon was sitting there talking about Nate and how he's just not grasping certain concepts. Okay, that's the short version of it, and it's just really difficult and it's really stressful that they're trying to work with family who you're trying to treat like an employee, and he feels like he can do whatever he wants because they're blood. So he got that whole thing going on. She's sitting there talking about drama with you know, Chance going back to the forest too soon, working there long hours, and just all the family, all the stress that is going with the family as far as this case is concerned. So all they wound up doing is just venting. Didn't really go anywhere. And the same thing towards Chelsea when she was not there talking to Billy. Just didn't really go anywhere. So I think that's about it for the most part. So yeah, the majority of this episode was good. It kind of fell apart a little bit towards the bitter end, but the last stuff with Chase and Kevin was pretty good. So I would honestly sit there and say that this was a solid episode, which is something I'm still I'm still not used to. Still not used to. So yeah, but with that being said, I'm gonna go. Oh, and also before I go, I said this in my B&B review. Now, I was thinking maybe just do one whole review, you know, B&B and Y&R review. Because I feel like, I mean, first of all, it'll be a lot, okay? It'll be a lot. I mean, granted, I got my notes, so probably a little more easier, but it'll be a lot. And I know that certain things will fall through the cracks, and it's something I'll probably have to get used to. Um, but sometimes with B&B, there's not really that much to talk about, you know. And hell, I just did want to do my B&B review today. I think it was like maybe 10, 13 minutes because I was, I don't know. I mean, without me just not talking about the review, I think it would have been like maybe 9 minutes, 7 to 10. Um, so I mean, it's not that much to sit there and remember with B&B. And plus, I mean, they're in the same universe, so it's not like I'm doing GH in days. You know, like this is literally within the same wheelhouse. But I also sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, well, some people may would are just here to watch the Y&R review. Some people may just be here to watch the B&B review. So it's one of those things where it's like I feel like if I would do that, I have to start doing like maybe timestamps or whatever. Um, because I've seen like long streams, and it's like there's certain things that I want to sit there and hear what they got to say, but it's like I don't feel like going through the whole video. Um, so I don't know. It's just an idea, and a lot of times, it's just an idea. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see everyone in the next video.